So again, really excited to take you all through how we're thinking about AI and health and safety at Salesforce. We have at Salesforce we have over 77,000 employees that we focus every day to keep safe, and it really plays into our ESG structure and how we care for our stakeholders at Salesforce. So a little bit of grounding before we jump into our AI strategy and where we are today. I wanted to give you a little bit more background in kind of who I am and talk a little bit more about our health and safety programs at Salesforce. So again, my name is Scott Bistrick, Director of Health and Safety at Salesforce. Really focused day to day on our global programs and innovation. You'll see that come through in some of the things I'm going to talk about today. Have a background in emergency management, so spend a lot of time there on our emergency preparedness and response programs, also focus on our data center safety programs across the globe, keeping our data center and critical infrastructure and those who support it safe, our health and safety technology, and our health and safety management system. I've been at Salesforce for about 8 years, and prior to Salesforce, I spent about 10 years at an academic medical center, focusing on a number of different EHS programs, everything from construction safety to occupational safety and fire life safety and emergency management. So really spent a lot of time kind of across the EHS space in a number of different areas and have really been able to build on that in my time at Salesforce. When I think about my interests when it comes to the EHS space, really focused and really relevant for our discussion today is the cross section between EHS and AI. AI and many of the tools that we're building at Salesforce and that are in the market can really become a force multiplier when we look at the EHS space as well as the ESG space. And I think we're consistently tasked to continue to look at cost effectiveness and how we can do more with the resources that we have, and AI really becomes a force multiplier. And a few months ago, a year ago, we were, kind of testing things out and dipping our toes in the water, and now we're actually putting AI into practice for us. So it's been really exciting to see that the impact that can have. Another space where I'm really passionate and spend a good chunk of my time is data center safety. So again, building data center safety programs. This wasn't an industry that existed many years ago. So really being able to come up with some unique solutions to help keep people safe in these facilities that are ever expanding and evolving. I sit on the steering committee of the Data Center Safety Council, which is a number of companies like Salesforce and data center providers who have really come together for positive industry change, and we've really been able to develop that over the past year and a half that we've been in existence. And finally, really focused on travel safety programs. Our 70 plus thousand employees are traveling both domestically and internationally all day, every day, and we need to keep them safe. They come into contact with a number of different incidents, and really making sure that we have the programs in place and the response structures to help keep them safe and get them to where they need to be has been really important for us. And really interesting space to be in. Lastly, based in Chicago, Illinois, and now I want to kind of start off how we do every presentation at Salesforce with a thank you. This is common if you've ever interacted with any of our team members. We always start off with a thank you. Thank you to Sia. Thank you to you all for being here. And I'm excited for this event and to continue to learn more about the ESG space and some unique advancements here. Also relevant here, as you can see in the bottom corner of the slide, this is an AI generated slide and some AI generated graphics. This wasn't something that we could do a year ago, and something that's fairly easy for us to build on now and create more engaging trainings, both in the safety space and just in general. So I thought that was really interesting for us and incorporated into these talks that we do around AI. As we dive into things, I wanted to ground you a little bit more in our health and safety programs and our approach to health and safety at Salesforce. We are driven at Salesforce by our vision and values, and that comes through in our safety program and is what is the basis for everything that we do. So it starts with these 5 values that you see: care, trust, prevention, innovation, and accountability. And care is really the piece that underpins everything that we do, and I think is kind of unique to our approach at Salesforce. We focus on the compliance side of things and what we need to do from a health and safety management side, but we look at things through a care lens first. How can we care for our employees? How can we care for our stakeholders? And really start as the basis for what we do and how we craft our programs. So you'll see that play into how we're thinking about AI and how we can, make the tools that we're building more human centric and give it that feeling that you would get if you interact with one of our team members. So we want to continue to prioritize care in everything that we do, and whether it's AI or our other programs, we'll continue to do that as we go forward. And then really these other five buckets are really our vision for health and safety at Salesforce. This is how we're focused on adding value for our stakeholders. The first is enhancing trust. Trust is the number one value at Salesforce, and it's where we start. We want to put employee safety first. We want to, as I mentioned, ensure compliance with global legal standards. We operate in over 30 countries that each have their own set of workplace health and safety requirements. They may have ESG requirements. So we want to make sure that we're starting with that as our baseline, meeting those compliance requirements, and then building on top of that. The second is really growing revenue, and at Salesforce, we call it ACV, but really exceeding, really helping the company move forward, exceeding our customer health and safety requirements. Many of our deals have specific requirements for employees who may come on site for an implementation, or just in general, just contractor safety requirements in doing business with us. So we want to make sure, again, we exceed those requirements. And then we're also an events-driven company. So we host our annual Dreamforce conference, which we're just getting ramped up for in October this year. And that's a gathering where we bring together tens of thousands of customers and into San Francisco, and we need to keep them safe while they're attending our conference. It is kind of our Super Bowl, so we really focus on how do we bring that care that I talked about earlier and some unique safety methods to keeping those individuals safe, both our attendees and our employees who support the event. Enabling high performance. So focusing on enabling high performance across the company by creating a physically and psychologically safe work environment where our employees can thrive. In the past, we were just kind of focused on that physical safety, and we've really started to focus on psychological safety as well as a component of our health and safety programs. Really understanding that that's important to individual success and well-being, and how the company continues to move forward. Building resilience. Each day, each week, each month, we're impacted by different incidents, sometimes more severe natural disasters or global geopolitical incidents. And we want to make sure our employees are resilient, can navigate those challenges. So we really focus on how do we prepare our people and the business to navigate those, and build that resiliency. And it is a grow it is a path of growth for our employees, really focusing on some baseline training and then building on that, as they go forward. Everything from, as you can see in the picture, offering first aid CPR for our employees to offering a number of other trainings, for that are relevant to their positions. And then lastly, attracting and retaining talent. As Salesforce continues to grow and the number of employees that we have, attracting top talent and retaining that talent is super important to us. And that really starts with our employee engagement program called CareForce. And I'll talk a little bit more about that on the next slide. That's really how we focus on engaging employees in things that are interesting and relevant, and then also bring them the things that they need from a compliance perspective. So again, this is just kind of how we kind of frame our program and how we think about safety from our vision and values. And then this is how we kind of deliver on that. And this is the structure that we've set up globally. We have about 20 EHS professionals out there day in, day out, working to keep both our employees and our customers safe, whether they be in our offices, at an event, or while traveling. These systems and programs really focus on keeping those individuals healthy and safe. And our foundation is really built on those systems, our standards, our health and safety management system, our audit program, our tools, our technology, our training, data, and KPIs. And really the new piece of this and our technology is Agent Force and agentic AI. Again, looking at that as kind of a force multiplier for how we keep people safe and how we continue to expand our reach and elevate our services. And underpinning all of that, again, the value that I talked about, care, that really comes through in our CareForce program. We have a dedicated employee engagement program focused on health and safety. This is focused on how can we be relevant? How can we show up where our employees are, and bring them safety in a way that they would expect us to, in a way that they need it to. So that really creates the foundation for our health and safety program. And then building on top of that are different programs that support different areas of the business. I talked a little bit about emergency management and our emergency preparedness and response programs, but also our events, say our event safety programs. How do we keep our customers, our attendees, and our employees safe at different external events that are off of our campus, and then those that are on our campus? Our general safety programs, everything from our contractor safety programs to our industrial safety programs, incident reporting, training, all of that it builds up into a robust safety program. Data centers, again, that environment is different than kind of our traditional workplaces. So what do we need there, and how do we focus there? Health, again, psychological safety, mental health, and then physical health. We spent a lot of time focused on this in 2020 and the years beyond when it came to COVID, and really building on that as we move forward. And then lastly, ergonomics, and building an ergonomics program that helps to support people in their workplaces. We have a great team of health and safety professionals that deliver this regionally. And, as it says here, we have a global vision, which I've kind of laid out, but we really focus on regional excellence. How do we nuance things? How do we create the right programs in region, to get people the resources that they need and keep them safe where they are? So hopefully that gives you some background in kind of how we think about health and safety at Salesforce. And I'll kind of move on and talk a little bit about innovation, and talk a little bit more about how we're thinking about AI. In my time at Salesforce, we've always had a really strong focus on innovation, starting with the founding of our CareForce program many years ago, and then building on that, leveraging our technology to create different opportunities for innovation. So we have this phrase at Salesforce called Salesforce on Salesforce. How do we operate on our own technology? So after we founded the CareForce program, and as our team started to grow, we really focused on how do we leverage our technology for everything from incident reporting, how we work with employees when an incident happens, and retain key information, to emergency preparedness and response. So you can see a site-specific emergency plan, and we built up this system to capture that and surface that for our employees. And then leveraging our training tool, Trailhead, and creating safety trainings and integrated into, again, where our employees expect training to be and what they expect that experience to look like. We meet them where they are, and have integrated that into Trailhead to train our many employees across the globe with the required safety training that they need, and then building on top of that with some best practices as well. COVID-19 hit in 2020, and really turned all of our lives upside down, really changed the focus of our program from a health and safety perspective. All those things that we were doing previously, we needed to continue to do, but we also needed to focus on our employee health, and focus on navigating that incident for the company. So we partnered with our technology teams, developed work.com, which was really focused on how do we get people back to the office safely, and built up some technology for that, built up technology around contact tracing, and navigating different COVID incidents. And again, kind of continuing to embrace that innovation culture in everything that we do, and really leverage our technology. As we navigated through that, we launched Safety Cloud, which was focused on how do we return to live events, and integrating testing and entry passes to different events, and ensuring individuals who are attending events met a certain criteria for attending those events. And now we're moving into the AI space, and I'll talk about kind of the different waves of AI and where we are now. But again, we're really looking to embrace that as part of our culture of innovation, and again, really enhance our service delivery, and our support of both our employees and all of our stakeholders. When we look at AI, we look through a couple different waves, and I think a few years ago we were all talking about predictive AI. How can we leverage the data that we have to maybe reach or see around the next corner? Maybe we can get ahead of some incidents that are happening or some trends, and be a little bit more proactive and leveraging that historical data, leveraging that machine learning to help in that prediction. Um, Kind of consider that wave one, and then wave two came in quickly after that, and generative AI. We saw ChatGPT and Gemini kind of burst onto this scene, and really create some great resources for us, and some great tools both in our personal lives and in our work lives. And I think we continue to see across our team leveraging those tools on a daily basis for their work. And now we're kind of in this wave three where we're in this autonomous space and agentic AI or AI agents. I talked a little bit about Salesforce. We have Agent Force, which is our AI agents and agentic AI tools that we're building for our customers. But this really allows us to augment our team and our workforces with AI, move business processes over that it can, again, operate independently, perform tasks, supplement our team for the things that we need to get done, but may not be the highest value tasks that we want our team spending time on. So leveraging this, and this is where we are today, really starting to integrate that into how we do business, and how we can continue to enhance our programs. And then as we go forward, um, artificial general intelligence is kind of the next wave that's on our radar. And I think what all of our AI companies are working towards. And we're not quite there yet, where AI lives as its own thing and its own entity, but we're quickly moving in that direction. But for today's discussion, I'll really kind of focus on this wave three, and autonomous agents, and then also the generative AI and how that's showing up in our programs. So when we look across what our teams are doing, what our stakeholders are looking for from us, we see a couple of different trends coming through. Never have we been at a place where our teams are more stretched. We're seeing climate disasters at a frequency and scale that we've not seen before, impacting our global workforce. We're seeing global conflicts come up. That we need to manage and support our employees through. I mentioned mental health earlier, and we're seeing mental health incidents manifest themselves for our employees, and thinking through how do we better support in this space, both proactively and reactively. And then in the regulatory environment is increasing and ever complex. So we're seeing all of these things compound on our teams. We know that our teams are feeling that stretching, and this is where we feel like AI can again really lean in, and we can leverage to enhance what we're doing. We're seeing employees, at an increased risk of burnout. And then we're seeing higher expectations on the stakeholder side, expectations to reduce the cost to serve while continuing to provide that top tier service. Our stakeholders are looking for an instant response. They're looking for that quick and immediate and high level response. And then also our team's working in consultation with them. So all of these things are compounding. We do a lot to baseline this against what our teams think and how we can prioritize. So we did some surveys with our EHS team at Salesforce, and we were asking them a couple key questions. Where are you spending too much time? And the answer we got back was not super surprising, as I'm sure whether you're in the health and safety space or in other industries, you're seeing this too, an increase in meetings, email, messaging, reporting, those administrative tasks, those lower value tasks. Our teams were continuing to say that these were continuing to pop up, and they were continuing to see spend a lot of time there. And then we asked, where are you spending too little time? And it's all the places where we would want them to be. Training individuals and our employees, working on strategy, working on planning, focused on innovation, focused on network building, building stakeholder relationships and business partner relationships. Again, those high value tasks that we want the teams focused on. And then again, if they had 10% more time, where would they spend it? Some of the same things you're seeing come through. innovation, focus on business partners, focus on career development, learning development. I think we all get stretched for those opportunities, and it's great, that you all are prioritizing this event and getting out and focusing on that learning development for yourself. But we all know that that comes at a price, and we all feel stretched in some ways in that. And then also collaboration and mentorship. So we know these are all important things. We really want to focus on how do we get to some of these key tasks and these key focuses for our team. And that's really where AI comes in, and where we're focused on leveraging it. So I go back to the slide I presented earlier and kind of how we think about our program and systems, delivery, and programs. And a couple of examples that I wanted to kind of take you through that we're seeing on a day-to-day basis. So I'll start with our health and safety management system. That's made up of almost 40 different documents with different requirements and different views on how the company helps to keep people safe. It is our baseline and how we operate, and gives our team the framework that they can operate under every day. Some of them can be dense documents. They can be long documents. Finding the specific answer you need or business partners need and the time that they need it. When do I need to inspect this ladder? How do I handle this type of health incident? That can be pretty difficult and can take somebody some time, and take them some research and helping them navigate through either some training content that they've had, or just the documentation and our standards and policies. So one of the things that we did was leveraging some technology that we have in Slack, and we loaded our standards into this, and we can go through and leveraging an AI agent. You can ask any question that you have, and this tool is grounded in our standards and can bring back what relevant information is. So again, if you have that question about ladder inspection and what the frequency is, it's going to look at those documents, and it's going to pull everything that you need to know about ladder inspection relevant to your question. And we found that this is uh, a great opportunity to provide higher level of resources for both our internal teams and our business partners. And when we put this together, we've been piloted it. We thought, hey, maybe we get 30% of the questions answered in the right way, or 40%. That would be a huge time savings and a huge impact. And we're seeing upwards of 70, 80, 90% accuracy within this AI agent. So it's really freeing up some good time for our teams, and really creating a good resource that we can continue to build upon. Next is kind of injury management. So our day-to-day case injury and illness management, or see our case management system there, and really focused on how can we get quick summaries of cases? How can we create detailed investigations and build that into our system where our employees are working? Sometimes some of the things that we need to document or pull together, or even find in the case management system, can be challenging. So how do we leverage these AI agents to be able to do that and surface it and find trends and ask questions? And we've kind of operationalized this to help speed up that process for our team members. So it is a great experience for those that we're having conversations with and investigating incidents and safety hazards with. And then for our team on the back end, it can be a huge time saving. And we're seeing that quality of things that we're inputting is increasing as well. And then lastly, when we look at our programs, I'll take an example from our event safety program. So I mentioned our Dreamforce event earlier. You can see the campus under load in. This is Howard Street in San Francisco. And this is a simulated video here, but using some AI video detection software, we can actually spot safety incidents as they happen to dispatch our teams and get people on scene quicker. So you can see the AI is detecting a fall here and automatically sending notifications and information to our teams so that we can get the closest individual to that person who may have a safety incident quicker. This is again not something we had at our disposal a few years ago, but things that we're really looking to leverage and operationalize today. This campus can be large and our teams can get stretched across it. So how do we get those real-time notifications and get people to where they need to be quickly? And then how does this look in the day in the life of one of our team members? So we looked at a couple different jobs that we were seeing, and then how can we use some AI tools to gain productivity? So everything from meeting prep, scheduling meetings, prepping for meetings, meeting summaries, and meeting minutes, our health and safety committees. How can we leverage it for that? And we're seeing some good productivity gains there using both agentic AI and generative AI. Content development for our trainings, our resources, seeing some huge gains there using some of the generative AI tools that we have. Reports and investigations, I mentioned that earlier. Again, leveraging a number of tools, seeing real quick productivity gains and productivity wins as we increase that. And our corporate messaging tool, Slack. For those of you who use Slack or other messaging tools, you'll know that you'll get sucked into it, and you'll go through every day, clearing out messages that you have, answering individuals, trying to find historical context for some of the conversations, and even in Slack with summaries, and other productivity or other generative AI tools, we're seeing some real gains there in speeding up some of those day-to-day transactional interactions, or surfacing information, or providing that quick service that our business partners are looking for. So how does this show up? How can you use this? And what lessons are we learning along the way? A couple of things I pulled out here that I thought were relevant for our team, and we continue to focus on a day-to-day basis. But I think no matter where you are in your AI journey, and leveraging of AI tools, a couple key points that you can focus on. And the first is just getting started, understanding what your company's requirements are, and start using the tools that at your disposal. And I think sometimes we look across all of the AI tools that are out there and all of the opportunities there are to leverage AI, but just start with one tool, start to leverage what it can do, or start to learn what it can do, start to leverage it, start to enable your teams on it. That's really where we did, and we kind of build across that. We have a generative AI tool internally, and we started to really operationalize that across our teams, and saw great productivity gains, as I just highlighted, and really started to build on top of that. What other tools are out there? How else can we be using this? And these tools are all evolving too. So, continuing to focus on learning, one or two things really well, and really implementing it into your day-to-day workflow. And that's really an important first step. And then really focused on testing and building trust. We want to make sure that the tools we're using, and I think we see a lot of different things out in the market where we're not quite sure, are they tools that we should trust? What kind of response are we going to get? Is the response going to be repeatable? And we've really spent a lot of time testing, and running pilots, and really seeing what we get, and then really building that level of trust. And I think that's not something that happens overnight, but dovetailing in with the first point, really, once you get started and you start to figure out opportunities to implement it, really getting into that testing, and opportunities to build trust, will help kind of boost your confidence, will help boost the team's confidence, and identify other ways that you can build on that. Documentation is key. A lot of these tools run on knowledge bases, and different sources of knowledge. So your documentation, your processes, really need to understand those before you move things over into AI, or leverage AI tools to help to supplement them. So if your processes are not strong, if your documentation is not there, that's another great place to start initially. By starting with that documentation, you'll build that foundation that those tools can then leverage. And then you'll see kind of more repeatable responses, more repeatable outcomes, and also the opportunity to consolidate sources. So the more sources you have, the more difficult it can be to kind of navigate. So thinking through how you want to consolidate, what are the knowledge sources or knowledge bases that you want to focus on and prioritize, and then that'll help as you go forward. And then incorporate into your strategy. We took our health and safety strategy, our multi-year plan, and we kind of looked at it earlier in the year and said, we're going to have to rip this up, and we're going to have to make sure that AI is embedded into everything that we do. We may not see the returns on it today or tomorrow, but we will start to see it from time to time. And when we had that conversation 8, 10 months ago, we weren't we weren't really there yet. Now we're living this every day. So we're continuing to focus on AI, and creating that as a component of our strategy. And I think whether it's, again, the EHS space, or just in general, that you have that opportunity with whatever your corporate strategy is to start to build that in today, even if it is in small pieces, and start to think about how it's going to impact you, how it's going to impact your business partners, how it's going to impact your workforce, and then continue to evolve and iterate on that strategy. So again, these are some key things. We're continuing to evolve our approach and the things that we do and how we think about this. But I think those are a couple of key steps and small things that you can do today to kind of build over time. And then lastly, just wanted to talk a little bit about, from an ESG perspective and how we support our stakeholders. We work really closely with our ESG teams to publish this annual report, as we all do from a ESG reporting perspective. But we really focus on a couple key areas within our stakeholder impact report, and that's our commitment to health and safety at Salesforce, our baseline policy and how that shows up, our key program elements, that engagement program that I talked about, that CareForce program, and then other training, hardship reliefs, other opportunities and ways that we're impacting and aligning with our business. We release this annually, usually towards the end of our first quarter in April, and really, continues to highlight the impact that the program is having. If you're curious to how we're thinking about safety more than what I've gone into today, you can check out the stakeholder impact report and get a better sense of what we're doing and how we're thinking about these things. And you'll start to see AI show up more and more in this report as we go forward and as we continue to leverage it across our program. I'll pause there. I think those were the key things I wanted to go through. I'll open it up to any questions that anybody had. And thank you. I appreciate getting the opportunity to chat with you all today.
Thank you so much, Scott. Thank you for sharing how Salesforce is implementing AI into your health and safety program. That is, I'm sure it's a fascinating adventure y'all are on. I guess a question I had just on the top of my head was, do you mind sharing any pitfalls, any lessons learned, I guess, maybe that you and your team maybe went through, or even the Salesforce organization, maybe broadly, that you went through in implementing this kind of AI process within your health and safety org?
Yeah, I think, on top of the things that I kind of just shared, one of the other things that we see is some hesitancy come in through our teams and our business partners around, is this the right time? Is this going to be a comprehensive solution? Is this going to be something that can scale across the organization? And I think more often than not, we've been proven that like where we dip our toe in the water and try tools and just get started. I think that's been a great learning experience for us. It may not get to 100%, it may not look exactly the way we want it to on day one, but it's an opportunity to learn, it's an opportunity to continue to innovate, and that's really where we're continuing to focus. So I would really say, don't be scared of that. Don't shy away from it. Look for ways that make sense for you and your organization to pilot different things and leverage different tools. Again, we all have kind of our guidelines and rules that we have from a corporate perspective. So understand those, understand what your approved tools are, but great opportunity to start, is in lots of different places. So just think about, ways that you can add value and don't hesitate to jump in.
Right. Just get started. I think it's kind of the theme on a lot of topics, quite honestly. We had another question. Let's see. I think I lost it. Oh, where do you see the biggest opportunity for AI to transform workplace safety over the next few years?
That's a great question. I think it exists in a lot of different places, but I would say the opportunity to augment our teams. As I mentioned, I think our teams are always stretched and get focused sometimes because they have to be on answering emails and answering messages and those lower value tasks. AI is really here to help augment that and to help support that. So we're really focused on how do we supplement our teams? How do we do that? And then how do we up the quality of the things that we're delivering? Sometimes if you're doing incident investigations and supporting different employees through injuries, like you can get bogged down in kind of managing multiple priorities. And this is a way to make sure that the things that you're producing are really detailed and you have an opportunity to check it against something. So I think that augmentation piece is really important, and definitely upping the quality and everything that we do.
I think that's it really is going to be a very interesting effort on your part to kind of go through that process and figure out how it fits for the
Yeah.
Salesforce organization. Um, I guess one last one on my end. How do you think, or have you thought, yes, because it's early days, I think a little bit on your end, potentially, to how are you going to measure the impacts that AI has had on employee well-being, the safety outcomes over time?
Yeah, it's a really great question and something I can tell you we're very focused on today. We are starting to measure the impact and, just some of the time savings or and the things that we can measure. Sometimes it's difficult to measure some of those tasks and the timing that it takes, pre-AI, but also we're looking at the effectiveness of the tools. So how many interactions are people having with, AI agents, and looking at how do we grow that over time? One, by increasing the knowledge base, two, by, increasing their awareness of the tool. So I think that's one that we found some good success in measuring. And I'll tell you, we were definitely surprised when we looked at the numbers. The first month or so, we looked at the numbers and they were kind of where we expected them to be, and they've kind of exploded since then. So we're seeing across the organization definitely, an interest in interacting. Everybody wants to get the right information at the right time, and these tools are always on and always available. So they know that they can go there, and we're definitely seeing that in practice. And then two, through the ability to that some of the tools have, really measuring the effectiveness. So I mentioned earlier, like we were seeing, we had expectations about what we thought, when we thought that the tool might, and the AI agents might return the right answer for somebody. And that number ended up being much higher. And now each month we look at it, and we're seeing it increase. We're seeing the technology get better, but we're also seeing what our inputs are get better. And again, that's where I go back to the learning. Like, we're learning how to work with these AI agents and these AI tools better, and then we're able to kind of put that back in and increase, the impact of it. So I would say, it's definitely a journey when it comes to measuring impact, but I think it's something that we all should be focused on, because that's what's going to help you evolve and kind of scale your implementation. But I also think there will be advances in the technology over time that will help us to measure that impact. And we're starting to see some of that, consolidation happen, and some of those tools to be built out. We're still very much in our infancy. Agent Force and agentic AI wasn't something that we were even talking about. We were just barely talking about it this time last year, and where we are today, it's, a big part of our day-to-day, experience. So, I think that'll continue to evolve and get better. But I definitely encourage you, as you're thinking about these things, definitely want to be able to show the return on investment and the impact across your organization. So start measuring, and then that strategy will continue to evolve, as you go forward.
Well, thank you so much, Scott. We really appreciate your time and you talking over this topic with us today, and just bringing it, more into the light, right? Because I think a lot with all of the innovation and things like that, sometimes things like new technology and things like that can be scary for organizations to think about. So really appreciate your time today on this topic.
Absolutely. Really glad to be here. And thank you all. I appreciate everybody, who's in attendance here, and I appreciate the SIA team for having me.
Absolutely. Um, well, we're gonna close out today with just a couple thoughts. Again, I wanted to say thank you to Asa Abloy and HID for your sponsorship for the event. We really appreciate your support in that. Um, Also, just a minor plug for the ESG Advisory Board for SIA. If you are interested in joining the board, please let Adam know. She put her email in the chat. We'd love to have you. And so definitely want to let you know about that. And then hope you can join us tomorrow for the two topics for tomorrow are embedding ESG in modern security strategies and sustainability as a strategy, aligning purpose with performance to deliver client value. Really looking forward to both of those topics on my end, and really hoping you can join us for those. All right, with that, I think we're going to close out today a little early. Everybody always needs time back, so happy to provide that back to you today.